Alright, we're working here today with Patrick on my 1984 Peterbilt 359. It's got a Cummins 855 engine. It's a high compression engine, 17 to 1. And unfortunately, we scored number 2 and number 4 cylinders a few weeks ago pulling a hill. So we are doing a full in-frame overhaul, which will consist of all 6 cylinders, pistons, gaskets, and we also have 6 new injectors going in as well, with a few miscellaneous repairs while we have it torn down. So right now we're just doing a lot of cleaning, prepping the block, prepping all the counter bores for reinstall. Cleanliness is key with all of this, so we really got Patrick taking his time and making sure everything's going to be good to go back together. So if you want to show what went wrong. So this is number 4 piston that burned up. It's not supposed to look like that. It's actually supposed to look more like that. So we have 2 of these pistons that did that, this one and this one. And yeah, luckily we didn't cause any bottom end damage or bushing or bearing material, so everything looks good to do the rebuild. So we're just doing a standard in-frame. So today we're finishing our main bearings. We did all of our other ones, which I don't know if you guys have seen yet in the video or not, but we're just working on number 7 main bearing now. Number 7 on this engine also has the thrust washers on both sides of the main bearing to take the end play out of the crankshaft as well. So I'll just give you guys a quick rundown on how we remove the main bearings from the block while the crankshaft is still in place, which is standard procedure on a in-frame overhaul. So, all right. So they make a special tool for every job, but for this one, my special tool is a screwdriver and a lady slipper. What we're going to do is we're going to just gently get our bearing starting to walk around the crank. We're putting our screwdriver up on our bearing material only, not on our crank, not on our block. And then just give it a few taps with our hand. That was the lock washer falling out. Once you have your bearings slid over just a little bit, like it is right on that side there, we'll now come in with a lady slipper and just start slowly walking her out. That one actually came out extremely easy. I believe it's because it has the thrust washers in there as well. Whenever you pull it out, you want to just take a look at your bearings, because that's going to tell you what kind of shape your crank is in. You shouldn't see any kind of real bad wear, not an excessive amount of copper underneath the first layer of bearing material. Here's our rear thrust washer right here. This is just keeping the crank center in the block. And then we also have one on this side as well. So that one has a little bit of pressure from the crank up against it. So we're just going to push that around with our screwdriver and get it started. And theoretically, should just walk right out, but it's not. What we want to do is just give our crankshaft a little pry to take the pressure off of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in between one of my counterweights and my main cap and just slide my crank over just a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw how minimal that was. And that's much freer. And there is our other thrust washer. So now what we're going to do is we are going to get our crank and block all cleaned up where our new bearings are going to go in. We're also going to clean up our main caps and set our lower bearings in place with lubricate to protect the engine during initial startup and get everything buttoned up and torqued back down. So. Alright, so we're getting ready to install our upper bearing on number 1 main cap. So what I already did is I already sprayed everything down and wiped everything clean. Just getting a little bit of residue that's off. But you really want to be spotless going back together with this stuff. You don't want any oil or debris in between where your main cap hits the crank, or especially on your bearing. It's just going to rip apart your bearing material. So now that I have that all clean, I'm going to lubricate my bearing. And I'm just using some lubricate 105. And we're just going to put some of this on here. Like so. Come in with clean hands, as clean as you can be. You're only coating the bearing material. You're not lubricating the backside. The backside goes in dry. So now we have a lock tang on here that is on this side, that little cutout right there where the lock washer goes. So it's important to make sure that that lines up on the same side that my washer is getting mounted in, which is going to be on the passenger side of the truck. So this bearing will get rolled in this way, and once it comes all the way around, our lock tang will be on the right side. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just setting this up in place carefully into the gap. Once I get it in the gap, I'll start rolling it in. So we're getting ready to set our liner in place, which is the new cylinder. We're going to test one out with a shim that goes underneath of it. These shims are about 20,000ths of an inch. We're going to set this in place and set our new liner in without any O-rings or anything. This is our liner here. And we're going to make sure that our liner protrusion, which is how far up the liner sticks past the block, is within spec. And I have to look in the book to see exactly what that spec is. We have some specialty tools that are needed to do this job. We have a liner installer, which is basically just a press that you squeeze down and it pushes the liner down into the cylinder. We have a liner protrusion gauge, which you'll see us set up and check all of our liner protrusions. And then basically just, other than that, the ring compressor to compress the rings and slide the pistons down into place. So yeah, we're going to start miking everything out and making sure that we're within spec, setting everything in place, and dropping our pistons in. So I guess we'll get started.